10 seconds for the grey. Oh, hello, welcome to the Buff Up Show, and XSplit has survived, so we're going to go right now. You're listening to episode 9 of the Buff Up Show, and I'm once again joined by the wonderful Aaron Sullivan.
How you doing?
That's right. Why are you glad to be a PC gamer, Aaron? Why are you glad? You better have a good reason this week, alright? Have a good reason.
Obviously, Guild Wars 2. What else? What else is there, man? I'm also looking forward to the delicious month that is May.
Oh, we're going to talk about that soon. We're going to talk about the delicious month that is May. Av, you're back.
Can't get rid of me.
The Witcher 2 is being released on console in just under 2 weeks. Is Poland ready?
Is Poland ready? Probably is. We in Poland are more of a PC sort, are we not?
Have you got your Dark Edition on pre-order?
Dark Edition. I don't have an Xbox.
Oh.
Shame. I haven't. I've ordered the PC version again because I want the new box. But Av, dare I ask, why are you glad to be a PC gamer this week?
There you ask. Nothing specific. All I so just ask questions.
All right. We'll move on. We'll move on to some news. First up, we have Orcs Must Die 2 has been announced. It's the tower defense game that has a lot of third-person action mechanics in with it. Now, the original game was a single-player game, but this is going to have co-op. So Av, you are a massive Dungeon Defenders fan. You've been playing it all week, and the big thing that draws you to Dungeon Defenders is the multiplayer. I mean, did you play Orcs Must Die, the original?
Well, I did play the original.
You did, but
you didn't.
But
honestly, the thing that made me not interested in it, because it released around the same time as Dungeon Defenders, slightly before that, and I've tried it, and it was fun, don't get me wrong, it was a fun game. I had all the cool traps, all the spikes on the walls, blades on the walls, tar pits, it was all great. I mean, Dungeon Defenders is great, but the traps don't feel as satisfying as an arrow trap in the wall impaling dozens of orcs. Visceral
traps. I mean, is the co-op enough to take the mantle of Dungeon Defenders as your number one dungeon defense, tower defense game?
Well, that's a hard question. Will only be answered when it's launched. But in all fairness, I've put around 200 or so hours in Dungeon Defenders, and yeah, I would look into Orcs Must Die if it actually has a decent working multiplayer co-op. As far as I'm aware, there's like 2 characters, which is not a lot of variety.
Yeah, it's kind of thin. You think they could expand the characters, maybe make it 4-player instead of just 2-player. Aaron, you love your co-op. You love that Rage co-op that we played last night. You enjoyed those 6 levels immensely. I could hear it in your voice.
Stale co-op.
Orcs Must Die.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I am not a massive tower defense.
Boo. They don't have those on consoles, do they?
No, I'm not interested at all. But the trailer did look. It looked action orientated. So I guess it will be a bit of fun for people who like this kind of genre. Sadly, that's not me. So
but you love co-op, right? It's just like Rage.
Well, that's not good, is it? Because Rage co-op was a bit whack.
All right, I won't hear a bad word said against it. All right, an amazing co-op. Moving on, Assassin's Creed 3. This game is coming to PC. I'm not sure if they've given an exact release date yet, but they've come out and said that you should play this game with a controller. Obviously, PC controllers are going to be there, and the previous games that have been on PC obviously have keyboard and mouse controls included. But Av, you were quite disgusted when I spoke to you about this. You were shocked.
PC game, it should have PC controls. That's pretty much it. You would kind of expect it.
Well, yeah. Come on. Every PC gamer surely owns a 360 wireless pad that they can. Aaron, am I wrong? Am I right?
No, I actually agree with you. I was expecting to come into this conversation having to argue with you as well, Ariel. I'm glad that you have seen the light. They created this game. It's not really a PC game. Let's be honest. It's a console game, and it's not like they're ignoring the PC or whatnot. They are trying to make it work on the PC, and they'll probably have a load of features, hopefully, for that iteration. But it's supposed to work better with a pad, and that's their design decision. So you can't really argue with it.
Well, as long as the keyboard and mouse works fine, I wouldn't
Well,
mind.
you'll have that option too. But they've said it.
I
They've
know
come
there's
out.
option. I'm saying if as long as it works good. Like,
Well, did you play any of the other two games on PC?
yep.
And did they work fine?
Well, they did indeed.
Yeah. So the next one will work fine too.
Oh.
They're just letting people know that this game was designed for a pad. So if you want the best experience, that's where you need to go. But it still will be functional on a keyboard and mouse as well,
No,
which is
that'd be-
which is their decision, to be honest. It's their game, so can't really argue with it.
As long as it looks good, all right. As long as it looks good. They've got a new engine. They've got gonna have these big battles apparently, or big battle scenes. It should be good on PC. It should be good. Keeping things with Ubisoft and PC games, obviously. Ghost Recon Future Soldier gets a PC release date, which is June 15th, and we got some really good features that are going to be included with the PC version. We're going to have DX11 renderer, enhanced tessellation, online widget for party friends and ghost feed functionality. I don't know how that's exactly going to play out. Extended party functionality, party text chat, Uplay friend system, and fully customizable controls for the localized keyboard. Just on the features alone, it's cool to see DX11, right, Aaron? We don't really see too much tessellation on our console port these days.
Yeah, the issue is that they can have like one wall that's tessellated and say, yeah, we've got tessellation in the game, and it's not really great. I want to see it implemented properly in the game. If you're gonna make us wait 3-4 weeks
Aaron, you think they'd be so cunning as to write it on the box and just have limited
yes,
features?
I do, most definitely, and I think that's exactly what we're gonna get. Tell me otherwise.
Well, a bit like Rage saying they have a co-op campaign. No? Alright, we also got minimum hardware and recommended specs. So I'm going to read the recommended. It's Intel Core 2 Quad, AMD Phenom 2, RAM 2GB, or 3GB if you're on Windows Vista or 7. Why 3GB? It's normally 2 or 4. Graphics card is going to be GTX 460 or AMD 5850 or better. Requirements are getting beefier these days, don't you think? It was only like Rage that came out a few months ago where we were looking at the requirements and they were so low. Is this a good thing, Av? You don't upgrade too much, but are you happy to see higher specs required? It means we could see better games on the PC.
Yeah, why not? Really, PC's main, thing right now is that it can make games look amazing now. How it will be once the consoles catch up is another thing. We'll see. But for now, yeah. I mean, you upgrade your PC not even that often. Like, let's face it, you don't upgrade it that often. But yeah, having more options graphically means like the game will look better.
Indeed, and obviously Ubisoft have been known for their intrusive DRM, the always-on DRM for a single-player game. But this game's not going to require that. It's going to have a one-time activation where you activate it through, I believe, Uplay, and then it's activated and you can play it online, offline. Step in the right direction, Aaron?
Yeah, I didn't actually think these specs were anything amazing, to be honest. I was surprised that they were so low because, like, I've seen trailers of the game and it actually looks pretty nice.
460 or higher for the recommended.
Well, 460s are old cards now, to be honest. They're not. They're cheap.
Yeah, but when you got
anyway.
Rage, which came out just at the end of last year, was like saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, 9800 is recommended. It's like, come on, it's just a bit of a step forward.
Fine, it's a tiny, small step forward. Just going back to the specific features, I'm just hoping they'll implement them properly and not just half-ass them, because that would annoy the crap out of me. If they get that done, then I'm a happy camper.
All right, good stuff. Whilst we're talking about PCs and specs and graphics cards, have you guys been reading the NVIDIA 680 news that came out? I know we spoke about the 680 and the new 600 series from NVIDIA last episode, but I know we've had some extensive reviews of the 680 now, and The Witcher 2, which is coming out on consoles this week. Basically, they SLI'd some 680s, and they were able to get really good frames with Uber sampling. Aaron, are you going to rush out and get some 680s so you can run The Witcher 2 in all its glory?
The Witcher 2 already looks sublime with everything else turned up.
It does.
Apart from Uber sampling, I'm not going to go and buy two £400 cards to go and throw Uber sampling on for one game.
Don't you think it's amazing, though?
When everybody else catches up and starts using Uber sampling, yeah, sure, why not?
Don't you think it's amazing?
Right
They put a graphical feature in there for future cards, so our game will look even better when you upgrade your hardware.
Well, this is not a new thing to PC gaming. Often the games drive the cards, like I know everybody uses it these days, but Crysis 1, that basically sold NVIDIA cards because the current cards, the cards that were at the time,
people were
couldn't handle it.
benchmarking their systems to prices pretty much.
Indeed.
So it's a commonplace occurrence. So I expected it, to be honest.
You expected it. Amazing stuff. It's good to see you expected it. May, the month of May. Why is it so special, Aaron? Which game in the month of May has got you most excited?
I'd have to go with the two MMOs that are coming out. Come on, let's be honest. Are they both coming out in May? They are, aren't they?
Which MMOs are you talking about?
Terra.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is Guild Wars 2 not
No, Guild Wars 2 hasn't got a release date.
No! Well, Terra it is then, Terra it is.
Av? Got to be Diablo 3, right?
Yeah, pretty much Diablo 3.
Have you seen the latest trailer? We're showing it now. It's the Demon Hunter. I remember we had the big Demon Hunter reveal. That was it at BlizzCon a few BlizzCons ago, and now we got another Demon Hunter trailer where we're seeing some of the mechanics into place. I mean, you hopped onto my beta account the other day and you checked it out. Is it everything you expected it to be in the gameplay form?
This game is not going to be groundbreaking or anything of sorts, but it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's perfect as it should be, I'd say.
Lies, right.
It
doesn't have multiplayer. It's not perfect.
Yeah, it doesn't have the multiplayer. I think we discussed this already. But
you mean like PvP?
Yeah, sorry, it is going to have multiplayer. It's not going to have the player versus player arena system that they said would be launched with it. But you know,
I'm sure it can live for a few months.
No.
There you go, Aaron.
I'm actually gonna slit my wrist right now.
No, all right, Aaron, what you didn't mention Diablo 3? How dare you? You're not that excited for it. You're not. Oh my god.
See, the problem is the biggest thing for me about Diablo was the idea that they had the new arena system for it, and
that's broken it for you.
Without it, I'm not looking forward to it that much. But
okay.
I'm sure it will still be fun in co-op. I'm not sure I'll actually play it single player.
Is it like a bowl of Cocoa Pops without the milk?
Yeah. I'll probably jump on it co-op with you guys, to be honest. Doubt I'll play single player.
Come on, man. Yeah.
And it wouldn't really be single player, would it?
Well, the campaign. You're going to play the campaign anyway. It's out soon, guys. It's out soon. I'm excited. Are you not excited? Come on, where's the excitement? I don't feel the excitement. All right.
What?
No. I'm not feeling it. All right.
They don't do excitement.
All right. We'll move on to something which you might get excited about because you might get enraged about. It's amazing. Origin. Why is Origin not coming out? Anyway, Battlefield 3. You can now. There's a patch. We now have horns.
We do.
Yeah.
All right. We can now run people over and pick.
But now, more importantly, you can now unlock extra stuff for free. Not extra stuff. You can unlock all the guns in the game by paying a fee. How do you feel about this, Aaron? It's £24.99 for the full pack, and then you can do individual kits like the Recon kit is £4.50, so you don't have to grind that sniperage.
I think this is the most retarded decision ever.
Really? Really?
On two fronts actually. First of all, you're paying 24 quid for something that's already in the game, or is it 5.49 or 5.99?
But you don't have to pay for it.
Yes, but
it's £4.50
if you're
for
an
each
idiot
class.
and you pay for it, you're paying for something that's already in the game. You'll unlock it over time anyway, and you're kind of depriving yourself of the whole element of, oh yeah, I've got this new shiny weapon, let's play it out, kind of thing. Secondly, what the fuck was I gonna say? I can't remember. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bring the counter argument here. What if you're not interested in grinding? Because I've been playing this game. I'm not saying I'm one of these people, but I've been playing this game on and off since launch.
Yeah.
And I'm about level 20, and I've unlocked most of the assault class, but I'm getting nowhere near the other classes, and it takes a long time to unlock. Surely there are some people out there who've got limited playtime, and they just want the best sniper rifle straight away, and they just want to play with that.
That's the other thing. Yeah, sure, that's great for them, but it's not fair on the people who have been like playing this game hardcore, have not played any other games, and I'm sure they've still got jobs and whatnot, but they've decided to dedicate themselves purely to Battlefield 3, and they're not being rewarded for it. If you know what I'm saying, that takes the cake to me.
I'm not being rewarded with the things they unlocked.
Yes, but then you've got Johnny New Joe who's just come across and like, oh yeah, I'll spend 24 quid on this game, and then I'll spend 24 quid to get these packs, and now I'm super uber awesome.
Well, not super uber. They're not overpowered guns. They're just different guns, right?
Well, let's be honest. It's really hard to be Recon when you only have the initial sniper.
Okay, so you think you need to do your apprenticeship, as it were, with the crappy tools, and then you get access to better ones as you go. I don't know, you have this whole free-to-play thing these days, and I know Battlefield 3 isn't free-to-play, but in the free-to-play it's like you can like a bit like League of Legends, you can grind in League of Legends and you can unlock the hero with in-game points, or you can spend Riot points and get the hero that you want to play straight away. You know, I see it kind of like that. Av, you play League of Legends, am I wrong to say it's kind of like that?
It is kind of like that. It doesn't differ all that much from all the hats in, let's say, Team Fortress 2 as well.
Okay.
It just doesn't really bother me.
You don't play Battlefield 3, that's why it doesn't bother you. No?
Well, no, because think about it. I've played other games which have similar models.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly that shocking.
Aaron's old school, though. Aaron's old school.
It's not shocking.
I don't need to do it. Like, I wouldn't buy it. That's one thing.
Terrible.
Okay.
These companies are just monopolizing on people. Like, don't give in, goddammit.
They are milking it for what it's worth. Like, as long as people will buy shit like that, they will sell shit like that. So
Indeed.
the only way to not do it, to make them not do it, is to pretty much not buy it. And that's the only way. Like, if you don't want it, don't. Stand your ground, pretty much.
All right. And speaking of buying things, Good Old Games has transitioned. They've changed from Good Old Games to GOG.com, and they'll now be selling newer games rather than, because their whole thing basically was that they would sell you old games that would work on new systems. But now they're sort of not ditching that, but they're adding new games to their repertoire. And the good thing about Good Old Games is they have one global price, so they sell in dollars, and there's no crappy conversion to pounds where we get screwed. And they also, all their games are DRM free, I believe, or at least most of them are DRM free. Aaron, you love Good Old Games. Were you there at E3 for the Good Old Games?
Indeed.
Oh, you love Good Old Games.
They sell. I do. There's some awesome Good Old Games. All right, Baldur's Gate. All right. Like, you feel me, Av. I know you do. But this is good for them anyway, and good for us.
Yeah.
More importantly, we've got more competition. We can't let Steam, as awesome as Steam is, take over the whole planet. I know Origin's trying to get in there at the moment, but they don't sell much other than EA games. So it's nice to have another system that will compete, and hopefully we'll get cheaper prices as they compete against each other.
Yeah, Good Old Games isn't going to always have games at release because they have DRM free, they have to negotiate with publishers, and publishers want DRM, and normally a publisher will let go of DRM maybe after a month, so after the initial boom of it, they'll let them have it. It's really cool because they've got this request a game system, so you can actually request the next game that goes up on Good Old Games, because I think they're aiming to get 3 new games a week, every week on their books. And you can actually go up and request games. You can request old games. You can request new games. It's really cool. And have you seen their website? It's like really nice and shiny. They've redone it all. It's really, really nicely done.
It's like a new version now.
Yeah. These guys like partnered with The Witcher, with CD Projekt because for The Witcher 2, because I don't know, they had a little love-in where they love each other, like DRM free for the win. Av, would you stray? I know people like to keep their games in one place, but I've got games on Steam, I've got games on Origin, I've got games on GameFly. We were talking about earlier. I've got GameFly now for Torchlight because I used to use Direct to Drive, so I've got GameFly. Would you buy from Good Old Games if the new game came out?
Well, if a new game, I don't know, maybe. They do have better prices than Steam, that's for sure. And I was looking to pick up Phantasmagoria.
Yeah, Steam normally sell at the recommended retail price, and then the only time to really buy from Steam is when there's a sale on. So yeah, maybe. Indeed.
I find that if you go to Steam on a newly released game, you'll more than likely pay more than you will if you go to an online retailer. So
and get the physical copy.
Normally you end up waiting anyway if you want to buy from Steam, and that's when they throw those sales at you, or those weekend specials, and you're like, whoo!
That's why I love box copies that link with Steam.
Witcher is still cheaper here, a boxed version, than it ever was on Steam.
Yeah, exactly. But I love Steamwork games where you buy the box copy really cheap, and then you put the code in and it links to Steam anyway, so that's awesome. Anywho, I'm getting away from myself here. THQ has laid off 118 people at Relic. Basically, the Warhammer 40k MMO Dark Millennium is no longer an MMO. It's going to be a single-player game now. I'd imagine it's going to be very much akin to the Space Marine game that was recently launched.
I don't think it's going to be completely single-player. I think it's going to be it seemed, from the way they described it, it seems like it's going to be like a Lego universe kind of.
Well, yeah, it's not going to be.
But you do things on your own in an instanced world.
Yes, it's kind of. It's not going to be MMO, but it's going to have multiplayer features as you just described. Av, you laughed when I told you this. You said more games should do this. In fact.
Well, yes, I'm pretty sure a lot of MMOs shouldn't exist. Final Fantasy 1. The Star Wars MMO, there's quite a few.
Ooh, a drive at the Old Republic there. Aaron, would you prefer the Old Republic to be single player?
Or at least single player with like co-op, or draw 3 people co-op.
I think they've done a very good job merging story elements with MMO gameplay, and I think they've actually drived other people to start looking at that seriously, and they've showed people that it can be done, kind of thing. So I wouldn't say that. As for the whole THQ thing, if they're having troubles at the moment financially, and if they can't keep their servers, or they don't have the manpower, or they can't pay people's wages, then you've got to make cuts. And I think this is a good decision. They keep the game alive, I guess, to an extent.
Yeah, if you haven't been keeping up with the news, THQ are in some real trouble, aren't they? Just a word on that, Aaron. Why do you think they're in such trouble? I remember they published Darksiders, which was a good game, and I don't think it sold overly well. And Darksiders 2 is coming out soon. I mean, do you think Darksiders 2 is going to do well? And what do you think the outlook for THQ is?
I like to think Darksiders will do great. It's an amazing game, but I am a huge Zelda fan, and it's pretty much Zelda with cool stuff added on. So obviously, I'm gonna love it. I think THQ's issue is that they generally release a load of average, under the radar games, and with the price of making games these days, if you're gonna release that type of game, you better PR the fuck out of it.
Well, they did with
Otherwise-
Saints Row, and that did reasonably well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Saints Row the Third. Another game, Metro 2033. That was a good first-person shooter with it had some issues, but it was still original. It was an original first-person
I
shooter.
really like the climate of it.
Yeah, but the sequel to that's been delayed. I believe it's going to maybe go into holiday 2012 or even 2013 now. I've heard. So
Shame.
I don't know. Support THQ if you like Darksiders. Go out there and pre-order Darksiders 2, and that's coming out in the summer. So it's going to be pretty good. I believe that covers us for the news this week. We're going to dip into our main discussion. The main discussion, Guild Wars 2, myself and Aaron were recently involved in the press beta weekend. Av did not play, but he can feel free to ask us questions. And Aaron, we're going to start with character creation, because that's where it all begins. And the character creation in this game is different because of the story, and we'll come to that. But first of all, when you created your character, there are so many options, aren't there?
You say so many options. There wasn't that many options. I'm presuming they're going to add some in the future. There was a decent. I mean, it definitely runs amok with something like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I'm comparing it to World of Warcraft here.
Yeah, which has no customization at all, pretty much. So if you're comparing those two, then yeah, it has a shitload of. But it was pretty moderate. I mean, I could create a decent character. I liked the whole you can customize the color scheme of your character. So every time you get a new piece of gear, you never like
look like a clown.
Defile. Yeah, you never interrupt that color scheme. So you always got a specific kind of look. Yeah, it's pretty decent customization.
Yeah, I thought it had enough options without being overwhelming. But yeah, it's pretty good. Obviously, the character creation is not just creating the look of your character. You're essentially creating your story. Because you choose your god, you choose your origin. If you had a sister and so on. I mean, how did you find out that? Do you find that there are big decisions, too many big decisions early on with the creation?
Yeah, I'm slightly... I don't know how I feel. It's a really good system, but...
It's a different system.
Purely because, like, the story I got when I chose to be a noble, and the story is really dry as a noble. I just didn't really get on with me, and I was like, I'm not liking the story in Guild Wars 2, and it's a big main focus of that game at the moment. It's one of their newer features. But then I saw other people's stories and backgrounds, and you've told me about yours, and it seems a lot better. So I think this can actually dictate how much you'll probably enjoy the game, and if you don't choose the right choice for you, it might annoy you a little bit.
Yeah, because you got all the races, obviously, and then within each race you have decisions in your character creation. There's like, were you a noble? Where did you come from? Who's your god? And then did you have a sister that got lost still here, or did you have someone that went here? And then obviously that relates to your questing, and so on. Just keeping things at the start of the game still. You know, you sort of enter the world and there's a crisis going on, and you have to go to it. Or in the Norns' case, there wasn't a crisis going on. It was just like, oh, we're going to the Great Hunt. They were kind of chilled out in the snowy lands. But the other two races, the Char and the humans, were kind of like, oh crap, get a bucket of water, we need to get this fire out. Al, I'm going to ask you, because you've seen the videos that we've released. Did you enjoy that cinematic start?
Well, yeah. I used to play the first game, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for this game since ages. Since they announced it so long ago, like 5 years ago at least. And it has been in the making, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do think the cinematic thing is a refreshing thing. Like, the choices will probably not be that great. Like, I imagine that will not be that diverse as they want it to be, but it will still be pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah. So Aaron, you obviously played it. You've probably done the opening bit twice now, because you did it at a trade show, and now you've done it in the beta. So you start off and you do some little quests, and then you fight a little boss at the end. but then you get thrown into the world. How did you feel when you first get thrown into that world, and you sort of it brings the map up for you, and then it shows you locations on the map where you can go quest. I mean, and the questing system in general. Did you find that refreshing?
Well, I was like, crazy awesome. This map's huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, fucking huge. It's very good that they've got little teleport systems where you can teleport to specific points, because otherwise you'll spend 40% of your journey just like traveling everywhere. But you have to find these points beforehand, so it's not over. You do have to do a bit of exploration before you can like start zipping around the place. The dynamic quest system was interesting. I found that there would be like a huge mob just appear out of nowhere, or some bandits will try and set a farm on fire.
Yeah.
And everybody in the area will rush to like help out, which was really cool. And you don't necessarily have to do the most amount of damage or whatnot. You just need to partake, and you get a share of that.
Oh, finish then.
You get a share of that XP. What was that, Av?
The question is, will it be the same issue like in Rift though? Like, yeah, there were those shared like events, but after a while, Aryel said when he was leveling on like official then, after the beta, like the early area had a fair bit of people in, but like the second area was pretty much devoid, and all those rifts were pretty empty.
Yeah, I sort of know. I understand what you mean there. Yeah, in Rift that was the issue. Like the first area was amazing. It's like, come on, let's go do a Rift, and then like the second area was tiny. It's like, okay, there's no one here. I can't do this Rift.
It's a scaling question though.
But yeah, it is a scaling question. I don't know. My experience was generally there were enough people, but it was only up to level 20 in this game without, and I only got to about a level 15 area in this beta weekend, so I can't answer the longevity issue. But what was really refreshing was the first quest I went to this farm, and it wasn't like kill 10 of these or feed 10 of these. It was like help out at the farm. You can help out by doing this. It's like you can help out with the water. You can help out by feeding. So okay, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to feed these animals on the farm. Then I picked up the water, and I'm like, what the hell do I do with this water? And then all of a sudden, I'm holding this water, and these bandits from over the hill come over, and they start, burning stuff. I'm like, oh crap, this is why I need water. But I put the water down anyway, and I start attacking these guys. And there's this other guy, he's beating on this mob, and I'm like, oh crap, I've got to find another mob. And then it twinged in my head, like, no, wait, this is Guild Wars 2. I don't have to wait and fight something else. I can just get a hit on this, and I'm contributing, and I get the credit. And with all quests in Guild Wars 2, you go towards this heart on your map, and you have a progress bar on the quest log, and as you contribute to that quest, the bar goes up, and once it's full, you've completed the quest. So like I was feeding these animals, I was then fighting bandits, I was then putting the fires out from the bandits, and slowly I was getting this quest progression. And I didn't feel like I was doing a quest. I felt like I was playing a game. And that was a questing game. That wasn't a dynamic event, but the questing felt dynamic. Moving on from that, you will find dynamic events in the world, which reminded me so much of Rift. It's like stand in this little circle here, and you can participate in this dynamic event. And I believe they scale depending on the amount of people there, so you can solo them. Not that you'd want to, but when there are people there, it feels like a proper group sort of game. I don't know, Aaron, if you got that feeling doing the dynamic.
Yeah. The funny thing, I never actually went out of my way to find one of these events. They just happen, and it seems really well done that they just appear around you. I'm like, I think I was killing some kind of stone elemental of some sort, and this really big lizard appeared off in the distance, and I see everybody running towards it, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on over there. And you go in and you join, and you get a few hits, and you're part of this dynamic event, and you get the experience and whatnot with it, and it's really well done. I didn't expect it to be done to this degree. I expected it to be pretty repetitive, like Rift, but I didn't come across the same two scenarios twice. Maybe that's because I wasn't in the same area long enough for it to happen more than once, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I would say they definitely felt more natural than Rift. With Rift, it's kind of like, oh, there's an event that pops up and you look at your map and it's like, it's a 5-minute walk that way to get to it. Whereas this was like, it's happening like 5 seconds away from you, not 5 minutes away from you. So that
you quite happily get distracted from your quest and just go over there and like, oh yeah, I'll get a few hits and I'll get some rewards. Or
and everyone's just mashing on the same mobs. It's like, you don't have to like get your own mob. It's like, come on, we're not in a group, but we can help each other. So that felt kind of good. So the questing is quite dynamic. I didn't personally experience a quest where I felt like, oh, if I don't help these guys, there's going to be repercussions. And I know the guys from Arena Net have said certain quests, if you don't help out or if you don't, complete it, there's going to be repercussions. I mean, did you have any scenario where like you didn't do something or you did something and it changed the world around you?
No, I can't think of anything like that.
It'd be pretty hard to notice. You'd have to do a scenario where you did the quest and another scenario where you didn't do the quest, and then compare the two scenarios afterwards and see if it actually made a difference.
Well, early on, they were releasing videos and all, like when it was still under NDA technically, and the only videos were the official ones. They released a video of a Char fortress where you basically have to defend it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you fail that, it gets overrun, and you have to escort some dude outside. And if you fail that, you basically have to retake it.
Okay. It's
mobs inside and then retake it.
You've jogged my memory now, because in the Human Lands we were in a little village. It didn't seem like a major quest hub, but it was under attack from the centaurs, and I actually helped defend it with NPCs, and you can actually revive NPCs, which is really cool. They help you out. But I actually defended the village, and then after that there was a follow-up quest to move out. So yeah, there are going to be small repercussions like that, and I think it's going to take time to realise. Like I did it there without even realising, which is quite cool. Story is a massive thing in MMOs these days. Star Wars: The Old Republic is obviously leading on the story front. Guild Wars 2 does have voice acting, and it has little cutscenes. I know, Aaron, you weren't too enthralled with your story.
No, I actually found myself skipping my cutscenes because it was really not a great story at all. But as I said before, there are
character though.
Yeah, I obviously picked the wrong backing, the wrong back setting for me.
But surely every story should be good to a certain degree.
No,
well,
story would be probably better.
But did you appreciate there was some voice acting rather than having to just read quest text? I know there's going to be a lot of comparisons made with Terra because it's made by a similar development team. It's coming out this year. So from a story point of view, do you feel like Guild Wars 2 obviously has the edge?
Oh, what, against Terra?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. There's no story in Terra whatsoever, but that's not really what Terra's about, so we won't dig on them. But yeah, the whole cutscene mechanic, it would have been nice to be able to like see stuff in the background instead of just giving me a stale menu screen that you see every time and two characters pop up and have a conversation with each other.
Okay.
I found that a little bit boring, just watching them like look at each other and talk.
Yeah.
I'd like that to have been done in the engine, but hey.
All right, fair enough. And the reason I bring the comparison to Terra is because obviously we played the Terra beta recently and we really enjoyed the combat. And now the combat in Guild Wars 2 is not your traditional MMO combat. You got this stamina feature where you can roll out of the way, so you can really dodge incoming attacks, and you can also dodge AoE and stuff. Obviously, each weapon brings up a completely set of new abilities. So if you're dual wielding an axe and a sword, you get different abilities. If you're dual wielding a sword and a sword, or a sword and a mace, or if you've got a two-handed sword or a spear. I mean, there's so much variety here. If you don't like one combat style, there's so much to find in each class. I mean, Aaron, how did you find? I really loved the combat. I know you think maybe it's a step back from Terra, but how did you feel overall?
It's okay for what it is. I like the idea of unlocking skills progressively, or you get like 5 skills that you unlock progressively. For
yeah,
each weapon.
it's not about leveling and picking the skills. The more you use that weapon, the quicker you will unlock the skills.
And then you've got your 5 specialized skills, which you have to actually spec
Yeah,
into.
the spec skills, yeah.
Whatnot. Yeah. That's an interesting way of doing things. It means you don't have to grind to get awesome skills.
You do, just not your weapon skills.
Yeah.
You don't have to grind your character to high levels to get awesome skills. They pretty much give you your 5 awesome skills. Like, I did the first quest and I had already unlocked like the first 4 of my skills, and you level up that skill, but it remains the same skill. You still got these core 5 skills all the way through your level, so you can pick up a level 80 character, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, throw them into PvP, and you already know what these skills do because they haven't really changed. If that's become stronger, kind of thing. It's still, I still prefer, on the whole though, I still prefer Terra's combat. It just feels so much more involved and so much more real time.
But you say that, but I played Terra this weekend because there was no Guild Wars 2 weekend, and I was playing the Ranger class, and every time in Guild Wars 2 you can run whilst doing your attacks, you can run whilst casting. I was playing a Ranger in the PvP.
No, you can't.
You can? You couldn't run?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I could run and heal at the same time. I could run and produce all my skills.
The awesome skills stop you in your tracks. You can't move and.
Oh well, maybe as a ranger, I didn't notice that because I was
obviously
pinging.
you can auto attack and run and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that, but your awesome skills stop you in your tracks, and you actually stop for a second, which is why people hate the Berserker class because they're so fucking slow.
No, that's in Terra. Yeah, in Terra. I'm talking about Guild Wars.
Oh, you're talking about Guild Wars?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I went back to Terra and it felt so static. I mean, there was the only dodge in Terra is actually class based, where your class has dodge, and it only goes backwards behind you, as Av would know. So it just felt like my feet were cemented to the ground, whereas Guild Wars 2, I was able to. There was so much movement involved. It was so much more fluid. So I don't know. It's interesting to see these combat styles, and I'm glad we're having this conversation about combat styles because they're 2 really refreshing combat styles in the MMO genre. That, so many games use the World of Warcraft. I know World of Warcraft borrowed it from other games, but the World of Warcraft mold. Star Wars uses it, Lord of the Rings uses it, Rift uses it. It's just so boring to me now, and I'm so glad we have these differing styles. I know you didn't play too much PvP. I know you didn't do Wild versus Wild, neither did I. We'll talk about that on another show. But just quickly on the arena system, it's awesome because you're level 80 straight away. You have all your skills. You can practice them in the mists, which is like the PvP area.
PvP lounge. I think that's a really nice addition. You can just you can run around and you can
get weapons and stuff.
Use your spells and spec and stuff like that. It's not just like a static little area in the back of your little village. It's a whole little area for you to run around and fuck about with your skills and see what works for you. PvP on the whole was probably the better aspect of my time with the beta, purely because of balancing issues, which we haven't spoken about yet in the single player, where mobs take forever to die.
The problem I had, and I think people have echoed this on the beta forums, there's not enough XP early on, and you don't level with the content very well. Even if you do dynamic events and stuff, people have suggested going to other home zones and doing the quests in those zones to get a level appropriate. But yeah, I found it hard to stay up with the leveling curve, and therefore mobs were very hard to kill. I don't know if this is intentional or not. But there's the really cool thing I want to quickly mention is the skill point challenges. Skill points are what you use to unlock special abilities, and there are skill point challenges all over the map. And some of them are puzzles. One of them's like a murder mystery. The other one's a boss fight that I encountered. And if you complete them, you get the skill point, and then you can maybe unlock an ability. Av, was that in the original Guild Wars?
Skill point? Well, yes.
Challenges.
Sorry, what?
The skill point challenges.
No, not really. But thing is, you gain skill points by leveling in Guild Wars.
Yeah, you gain them by leveling as well, but you can also now you can get them in these little challenges, and it's kind of cool that you can go out there and if you can.
Certain missions you did in the first game basically rewarded you. Well, pretty much every mission rewarded you with a skill point.
Okay.
As well, but you don't use the. You mostly just need money and skill points in the first game, and mostly money, The skill points are easy to obtain early on. They get harder later.
I'd
You've
imagine.
done missions, and your character level is because in Guild Wars 1 you had max level 20, but you could still gain levels after that. You didn't get anything other than skill points though.
But the cool thing is though, even if you unlock all the skills, you can only have one healing spell activated at one time. There are like 5 healing spells, 3 to 5 healing spells that you can unlock, but only one can be used on your hotbar at one time. And you've got 7 to 9, which can be used for your special abilities, and then like your ultimate ability is locked to 0. So you don't have to have them all. As long as you have enough to fill your skill bars, you can compete, which is kind of cool.
Well, still, certain skills will work better together.
Yeah, obviously they're optimal. They're going to be optimal skill sets. But yeah, it's just not like World of Warcraft where you have like a billion hotbars up and there are loads of spells you can use at any one time. It's like you have to. It's almost like a loadout. Before you go into battle, you will specifically say, right, I'm going to have these 2 weapons that I'm going to be juggling between. I'm going to have this healing spell. I'm going to have these 3 special abilities, and this is going to be my ultimate. So it's kind of cool in that respect. We're going to be talking more Guild Wars 2 in future buff up shows, so we're going to wrap this up soonish. I'm going to ask you guys the same question. Aaron, you've played it for a weekend now in your own home on your own PC. Are you more excited now? Or are you less excited now after playing?
That's a difficult one. I'm still very much looking forward to the game. The whole balancing issue has put a downer on it for me, but I'm pretty confident that they'll listen to the community and hopefully rejig things around so you won't be under level for everything, and hopefully mobs will die. In under 10 minutes.
The feeling I get about this game, playing it, is that it's really good, but I reckon it's got a lot of development time left. I think this is coming out mid to late 2012, rather than this summertime. I know we're all thinking summertime because you can pre-order from April, and the beta's coming out in May for pre-order people. So you're thinking maybe June, July release. I think maybe a bit later. I don't know. I don't know how much they actually showed us in their beta build. I don't know how recent that build was. I know they were updating it over the weekend, but I don't know how much they were holding back. Have you seen the videos? I'd imagine you're quite indifferent right now, but are you more excited or less excited?
Well, I was looking forward to it before, so there's no reason to change that. Lifting the NDA hasn't really told me that much. I haven't been watching a lot of the videos anyway.
Okay.
I wanna get the wrong ideas about it sometimes, like because it's still in a beta. A lot of things can change, probably will change.
For me, the most impressive thing by far so far is just the immense scope of the game. Like cities, like
they're huge.
You haven't seen an MMO city until you've played Guild Wars 2. It just blows everything else out the water. It's like a zone onto itself.
It's quite beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, my home city, I didn't get to see even like 30% of it because like it would have just taken like a good couple of hours just to look around and find every vendor.
PC Gamer did videos. They just did a ring because each city's like a big circle, almost like the Undercity, but they just did like one ring of it and it took them like 15 minutes, and they were only going through one passage, so you hardly saw the whole city, but you got the gist of the city's art style. But it took them 15 minutes to go around. It's just crazy stuff. Beautiful looking game. Just the UI art is what I really love. The whole it's almost like hand drawn. Everything, the way it's done, it's just quite amazing. Graphically, I don't know. Graphically, I think the start zones look amazing, and I think that falls away a little bit. But as I said, I don't know how much of the game they're actually showing us. It's going to be interesting.
Animations aren't that great, actually. The walking and jumping animation is dreadful. I'm sorry, I have to throw it out there. Didn't like it at all.
Really?
It literally took me out of my character. I was like, yeah, cool, fucking badass assassin, and then she's got this wank walk and this stupid jump. I was like, oh, really? And I was completely thrown out of my character.
Well, you can hope. Everything's still subject to change. So there's always hoping.
Get on those forums. Get on those forums now and tell them. All right. I know there was some feedback about the Norn female voice as being like too deep and too mannish. So that they were talking about, you know, implementing a voice pitch changer, but they don't know if they can do that. But so you can change the pitch of your voice dynamically.
That would be interesting.
It would be good, but they said it would be hard because also changing the pitch speeds it up, and then the timings are out for the cutscenes. But you know, they're good programs. They'll work it out. Anyway, Guild Wars 2, thumbs up so far. Thumbs up.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's no subscription, so you can't really lose. It's not like an MMO where you're going to buy it and play it for a month and be like, I don't want to pay anymore. I don't want to send any good money after bad. So at least, and there's going to be microtransactions, which is all uncertain what you can.
The dreaded gems.
You can't talk about it, all right? It's NDA'd. It's NDA'd. But yeah, that's all subject to change. I didn't even check out the store that much anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, that has been episode 9 of the Buff Up Show. I know Aaron has to get off and record the NGB podcast because that's how he rolls. He's a podcast kind of guy. He's wanted by many shows. So I'm going to thank Aaron for joining us.
Not a problem. It's always a pleasure to be with you, my friend.
And Av, all the way from Poland.
Yes, I took all the way from here there.
And
to get there.
You sound so excited about that. And obviously the Twitter, official_NGB. You can follow me at Aryel Abrahami, and you can follow Aaron at AJR Sullivan. And obviously you can get all the Buff Up Show at nextgengamingblog.com. You can get all the latest news. Oh my god, you can get gaming news at NGB because Adam Neves is a news beast, alright? He posts the news so fast. He's a top guy, alright? He's a top guy, Adam Neves. Go check out his news posts. And obviously we've got lots of awesome reviews and previews there as well. So check it out because it's an awesome site. Alright, that's what I'm going to say. Alright guys, we will catch you for episode 10 in 2 weeks' time. The Buff Up Show comes to you every 2 weeks.